Welcome, everyone. This meeting will be held in accordance with California Government Code Section 59453, subdivision of the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Government Code Section 54950, Series Resolution Number 2022-94, and the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act. While this meeting will be physically open to the public, given the state of emergency regarding the threat of COVID-19, members of the public may also participate and comment via the application Zoom. Zoom information was posted on the agenda. Welcome, everybody, for the City Council meeting today in the City of Ceres, Monday, August 22nd. I now call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
District 1, Councilmember Casey.
Here.
District 2, vacant. District 4, Councilmember Klein.
Here.
District 3, Vice Mayor Silvera.
Here.
Mayor Lopez.
Here. Moving on to invocation. Today, we have Pastor Herb Henry from Valley Christian Center, who will be providing the invocation here today in person, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God and gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for all your blessings, for life, for liberty, yes, for the pursuit of happiness, not just for ourselves, but for our neighbors. Thank you for this meeting that will affect that. Thank you for these who have been chosen to lead this city that we love so much. Give them wisdom, understanding, guidance, passion, vision for the future of our city of Ceres. We ask this all in the name of your blessed Son.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I want to use this opportunity during the presentation section to welcome Nubia, I believe is Consulting, correct? If I'm wrong, please correct me, as our new city attorney. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to citizen communication. While the city council welcomes and encourages participation in city council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes. Resolution number 2007-106 for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the city council and not posted on the agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the city council from taking any action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda, unless it is determined to be an emergency by the city council. Citizens are entitled to address the city council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address the city council must adhere to the rules of decorum, and the rules of decorum are posted outside of the chamber's doors. Public period is now open. Is there any members of the public that would like to speak during the public period comment? Seeing none. Do we see anybody on Zoom with their hands raised?
There's no members on Zoom with their hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Public period is now closed. Moving on to appointments to boards and commissions. A, council designation of a voting delegate to represent the city of Ceres at the League of California Cities Conference 2022 Annual Conference. Alex.
I have a mic. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. This item is the council's designation of a voting delegate to represent the city at the upcoming League of California Cities Conference. As the council is aware, the league has a conference every year. Important part of that process is where delegates from their respective cities vote on resolutions before the General Assembly. This item is for the council to designate a representative for that process. The league does indicate in their correspondence that a representative and an alternate is appropriate. So at the council's pleasure, we're recommending this evening appointing a delegate and an alternate if you so choose.
Okay, and it's my understanding, are you showing up to the League Cities? It's actually in 2 weeks.
September 7th through.
Yeah. So I'm already registered and I will be attending, and I believe Casey, you are registered and you will be attending, correct? Okay, you hope to attend. Mike, you will not be attending? No. You cannot attend. Okay, so if you're thinking that you may or may not attend, you want to be the alternate, you'll be the alternate, and then I'll be the first.
So Mayor, my question is, with you being the
designated, don't we have to have an alternate? And if Mr. Casey's planning on being because I didn't hear you. Did you say he was going to be the alternate?
Yeah, he wanted to be the alternate.
I apologize. I did not hear you say that.
Sometimes I think I need to get this microphone a little bit closer to me so we can be a little bit louder. Yeah, so you're okay with being the alternate? Okay, so at the council's direction. We good with that? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number B, to confirm the interview process and appoint 3 members to the Measure H Citizens Oversight Committee. I would like to start off by asking Nubia a question in regards to, was the process that we brought forward correct, just so that we are clear, so the public understands whether we did it the right way or not?
Thank you, Mayor. My understanding is the concern was based off of the subcommittee composition and the subcommittee interviewing and bringing back a recommendation to the full council. That process was approved by the council, I believe the previous meeting before this item was brought, and that is in line with the language of Measure H, which requires that the council make the final decision. So a subcommittee being created, interviewing, bringing back a recommendation is proper.
Okay. So now I bring this back to this council in regards to moving forward with selecting 3 members to the Measure H committee. And I want to open up this to discussion and dialogue first before we continue. So we'll make sure that we're all on the same page. I know that you had tabled the item for this week. So if you want to go ahead and start off in regards to if you have any questions or comments. Mike?
No, the only question I had, because there was a lot of discussion going on, was what the language actually interpreted and how it was. And that's why I asked for this to go back, to come back. With the interpretation from the city attorney, process, I know quite a few of the committees that we've had in previous years have gone one way or another. And we, as a council, at the time, 2 meetings ago, put up a subcommittee, and it was agreed upon with this council. So I'm fine with that. I just, because of the dialogue that was going on, I just wanted the interpretation to come back.
Thank you, Mike. I just want to make sure that you had your
Yeah,
questions answered, Mike. Is there any questions from you, Casey? Okay. If Vice Mayor, last time I made a motion, if you would like to motion and
Well,
then,
Can you please tell me the three again?
yeah, yeah. If you want to discuss it before you motion, actually, Vice
Go
Mayor.
ahead.
Move to approve Soheep Dong Carrion, Serena Otero, and Vincent Trufa to the Measure H Citizens Oversight Committee.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
public comment, you may want to take public
Yes,
comment.
so he just wanted to know
Apologize.
what they were. So before we move on with the motion, let's go ahead and bring this back to the public in regards to item number B. If there's any members of the public that would like to make a comment on item number B for appointments to boards and commissions. Seeing none, are there any hands raised? Seeing none, bring this back. I believe there was a motion on the table. I'm looking for a second. I will second that item. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
No.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 3-0.
Moving on to conflict of interest and declarations. Is there anyone on the city council that would like to declare a conflict of interest? Seeing none. I do have some notes. There is a correction on item number 7 on August 8th, 2022 minutes to include the motion that unused funds allocated to the council chamber upgrades will be returned to ARPA funds. Additionally, there is a correction to item number 14. The total expenditures on Exhibit A is 34,024,293.78. I believe that is in the millions. I will be pulling item number 5. Staff has requested to pull this item because they want to bring it back for a future meeting. Those are the notes that I have. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by a roll call vote. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item pulled for further discussion?
Mayor, may I interrupt?
Yes, you
The
may.
item that you're pulling is actually item number 15, not item number 5.
Did I say 5? I
Yeah.
meant to say 15, so my apologies.
Also, if I may make a correction, Measure H passes 3-1. I misspoke and said 3-0.
Okay, thank you very much for the correction. Okay, is there any members of the council that would like an item pulled?
4,
Number 4, okay.
number 3,
Number 3,
13,
number 13,
15, and 16.
15, and 16. Number 15 was the item that is being pushed. to the-
Okay, so it's not number 5.
It's not number 5. That was my fault.
All right.
Okay, after you said number 13, did you say 16 or no?
Yeah, so I want
I got 16. marked
4,
down.
13. Since you pulled 15, and I want 16.
And you also said 3, correct?
No, because he did the correction on number 3 with the ARPA funds going back. Yeah, but he reinstated that the changes of the funds were going back, and he addressed that. That's why I did not pull 3.
Correct. Item number 3 is corrected in the minutes that
Okay.
were included.
Thank you for the clarification. Any of the council members that would like to pull any other items? Going back to the public, is there any items in the public that would like to be pulled? Number 6, okay. Any other items? Any other members of the public?
Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor, quick point of order. If
Yes.
any member of the public wishes to pull an item, they should step up to the podium so that we can catch it clear on the record.
Sure, Mr. Warren. Thank you very much.
John Warren, City of Series, number 6, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Appreciate that. Okay, anybody on Zoom? Any hands raised?
There are no hands raised.
Okay. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt 1, 2, 3A, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14,
Number 5. Number 5.
oh, and number 5. I'm sorry, because number 5.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Did you guys include 16?
See, 16 is being pulled.
16. Okay.
16 is being pulled.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 4-0.
Okay. Moving to item number 4, resolution number 2022-105, authorizing the city to continue teleconferencing public meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill 361, allowing the city to continue a hybrid virtual meeting environment. Fine.
You know, I pulled this item because I had sent an email to the city manager to find out what cities within Stanislaus County only still conduct Zoom meetings and everything like that. And the city clerk and the city manager got back to me. And with what they found out, City of Modesto is the only one that Modesto, Riverbank, and Patterson still do hybrid meetings. City of Houston does a hybrid meeting with a disclaimer that if anything goes wrong with their audio visual stuff, that the meeting will continue. They will not stop it. And then the rest of them, Turlock, Newman, Gustine, Oakdale, they currently have Zoom meeting with no public participation from Zoom. So
Being
they-
able to just see the
they
meeting.
still do that. So I'll let the city attorney see that. But it's like, okay, we want to continue to have Zoom meetings with public participation? Or do we want to continue to have hybrid meetings?
Okay. Council, any thoughts on this?
I think it should continue as it is since we're not completely out of the weeds with COVID and the pandemic.
Comments?
Sure, so that those people can participate.
If we continue to have the hybrid Zoom meetings, yes, they can, or we can do it like a few other cities and say no public participation.
Okay. I personally, if we wanted to change it, I think it would be appropriate to change it at a later date. But I like the way that we're doing it now. Personally, I don't like the idea of us having to stop because we have technical difficulties. I think out of respect, we would probably stop anyways. I mean, but at the same time, I think it's important that the public is able to gain access to watching our meetings. So if there's a change in the future, maybe we can give staff some direction to kind of give us some options so that we can maybe a combination of what Houston's doing, a combination of what we're doing now.
City Attorney?
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Klein. Mayor, a quick point of clarification for the council about what the resolution does. When COVID restrictions came into play and the state shut everything down and then allowed for this hybrid meeting, what the bill does, the bill that you're voting on, the AB 361, it does away with the old teleconference rules. The old teleconference rules applies to elected officials and appointed officials. And it required that if you wanted to participate but not be here physically, you would have to disclose your location, post the agenda, do all of those things and allow the public to provide public comment wherever you were. That obviously doesn't work if you're at home and needing to take the meeting because you don't necessarily want to be in person and then open up your home to the public. So what the legislature did is it passed this law, the governor signed it. This bill specifically says you can continue the new rule, the COVID rule, which is you can have a hybrid meeting. A council member may want to take it from home, but they don't have to follow the old rules. They don't have to post the agenda at their house. They don't have to allow the public. But you can only do that if you pass this resolution every 30 days, which says there's a state of emergency. A state of emergency is required. There's a recommendation by the local public health officer that social distancing or mask or whatever the situation requires that says you should allow people to appear remotely. And it really just applies to the body, the elected body, meaning you can appear remotely without the old rules being in place. It does not affect whether or not you continue to have hybrid meetings or not. And so for some cities in Stanislaus County, just as in other parts of the state, they've decided they don't feel the necessity to pass this resolution continuously and either just go back to the way things were, everybody in person, and maybe they have via cable, via YouTube, via Zoom, allow the public to participate, yes or no, but it's not required. So it's a long way of saying what this resolution does. It just gives the council and the planning commission members the ability to appear remotely and not have to follow the old teleconference rules. This law will sunset. It is not in place forever. I think the idea was just to continue it for the time being because, you know, COVID restrictions technically still exist. The state of emergency at the state level still exists. So it's really more designed to give you flexibility, but it doesn't mean you can't have a Zoom component. It doesn't mean you can't have a hybrid component.
Thank you for the clarification. Any more comments from the council? Bring us back to the public. Any comments in regards? Mr. Osgood, please step up to the podium.
First of all, I'd like to thank the new city attorney for the explanation. That's more than we've gotten in the past, and it's much appreciated. Secondly, just as all of us need the option to protect ourselves, I think you guys do too. I think we should continue this for another 30 days. Visit it later. That'd be my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Warren?
John Warren, City of Ceres. I also am in favor of the continued hybrid version, but I think the stipulation that if for some reason the audio visual portion of it becomes unworkable or fail, that the meeting can continue here in the chambers and that the public is just kind of taking their chance if they want to view it online. And I think that stipulation would give the council some leeway, because if the audio visual goes out, then the meeting has to stop, I think, the way that we currently do it. But if you add that stipulation, then we could continue the meeting here in the chamber as long as everyone here can understand what's taking place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Any other members of the public that would like to make a comment? Seeing none, do we have any hands raised on Zoom?
There's no hands on. Oh,
I see
yes.
one.
Yes. Ms. Vieira, you may unmute your mic.
Thank you. Um, Again, this is Rosalinda Vieira, and I would like to concur with the other two. I do like the way, and I'm usually there in person. However, one of my coworkers tested positive yesterday. And so just to protect everyone else, since I've been working with them for the intermediately in the same, social area for the last week, I wanted to stay home, and I prefer the Zoom, and I'm sure everyone around me would probably prefer me to stay on Zoom as well. Until I am finishing with my quarantine, even though I'm symptomless. So I still think there's there, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue to have the Zoom option for those of us that may be asymptomatic that have been exposed.
Thank you, Rosa. Klein?
So I brought this up just so everybody knew what their options were. So question to the city attorney is, because of your explanation of what this allows us to do. In 30 days, when we bring this back, excuse me, is it viable can we put a stipulation in there if something happens to audio, video, visual, we can continue the meeting?
Unfortunately, no. The language of AB 361 specifically states that if a council approves this resolution to continue this mechanism, if the council or staff determines in the scope of a meeting that there is an audiovisual problem, you do have to stop and you have to try to fix it before you continue. So that is that is a very specific requirement in this bill. Now, one of the cities that you mentioned here that specifically has that carve out is likely because they haven't passed this resolution, meaning that if you're a council member or a commissioner, you've got to be there in person. You have to follow the old rules. We're going back to the way that things were in the past. But we're going to open it up and allow people to participate. But if there's an audiovisual problem, we're sorry, we have to continue. That is basically a loophole. I think a technical loophole that they can do that. But if the council adopts this resolution to allow for the new rules to still stay in place, there is a disruption to the audiovisual and the city staff determines that's the case, we do have to stop.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
No other questions?
No other questions?
I move to adopt resolution 2022-105.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes,
passes 4-0.
that was item number 4. So item number 6, I believe, is Mr. Warren.
Thank you. I had a question. Normally, in the Public Works Monthly Report, it explains, or it used to indicate the number of warning, the number of citations that are issued to the people that are trash can rules. They have to be out of sight. And this time, when I kind of went through and looked at the staff report, it just indicated that that was continuing to take place. There were no numbers there. So my question is, how many citations are being issued? And how many warnings were issued?
Unless we have that information, Sam?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have the information on hand, but I could most likely, I could get back to you, Mr. Warren, on that.
Okay, I'll check my email. I'm still kind of waiting for that Don Pedro traffic calming information we were going to get on that there, and I still haven't seen the note yet. Still waiting. Thank you.
Okay, Sam, I was just wondering if you do send that information to Mr. Warren, to make sure that you CC Alex on that, so he can relay some information towards us.
Yes, Mayor, I'll be more than happy to do so.
And we'll
I do have the information. I'll pass it on to Mr. Warren and Alex.
thank you, Mr. Warren. Appreciate it. Okay, if somebody can motion for an.
Move to approve number 6 on the consent calendar, given that Mr. Royal will communicate with Mr. Warren about his question.
You may want to open that up to public comment.
Is there any other members of the public that would like to make a comment in regards to item number 6? besides Mr. Warren? Any members of Zoom land?
No members on Zoom.
Okay, sounds good. Now I'll bring it back to council to continue the motion. Vice Mayor?
So we have a motion, so I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 4-0.
Moving on to item number 13. Resolution number 2022-112, approving the response to the findings and recommendations of the Stanislaus County Civil Grand Jury Report titled Homelessness, the Exclusive Definition of Success. Is that you, Mr. Klein? Or
I pulled this. I just pulled it for notice and clarification, not clarification, but to let everybody know. The city manager's name is on the report, but I did ask him if the city attorney reviewed this before they wrote their findings. And the answer was yes. So the city attorney is a part of the grand jury's answers. So with that, that is all the comment that I want to make on it.
I'll bring this back to the public. Is there any comments for item number 13? Being none, is anybody on Zoom?
There's no one on Zoom.
Okay, I'll bring this back to council unless there's any other questions.
Yeah, I have concerns, I guess. The grand jury cited every city in Stanislaus County for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And yeah, we responded to each one of them kind of like group project. I think that we need to really take into consideration not only the council, but the staff, city. We really do have issue homeless people, not just those that push red shopping carts full of everything on. But you know, as I reported a couple of months ago, we have over 500 that are identified in our school system that are homeless or near home. And you know, I go to these SHA meetings, and all the cities have something going on, and the city of Ceres doesn't really have anything going on. I think we really need to review it. The staff needs to review it. The council needs to do it. And we really need to do something for the homeless people, or the people that are nearly homeless. That's it. I'm not questioning the report. I mean, it answers all questions, but it answers all the questions to answer the question. I don't think there was a lot of meat put into it. That's my observation.
Thank you, council member. Is there any
So,
other?
Mr. Casey, I do agree with you. And reading the report, I believe it said in there that there's 3 entities that are responsible in Stanislaus County, which is the Stanislaus County Homeless Alliance. And there's a CARE, and I can't remember the third one. But it also says that the city should work closely with these groups to do it. So I think what we need to do is have further discussion with the city manager after we adopt this resolution on how we can work closely, a little closer with those 3 entities to address the homelessness and the students that are homeless or close to it. So I think that that's a thing that we need to probably address with the city manager at a later date after we adopt this resolution.
Any other comments? Okay. Yeah, I agree with both council members. I think we need to have a longer discussion and be truthfully honest about what's going on in the city of Ceres. There is some resources out there. I know that our police department does help out veterans, if I'm not correct, Chief. There is some things that we're doing. I think that conversation will be had.
I know Modesto, Patterson, Oakdale, their council has taken an active approach on this. I think Turlock is in the process of doing the same thing. With us being the 3rd largest city in the county, I think that, it's about time that we stepped up and we, address the issue as a council. And and move forward with this, seeing what the grand jury's findings are. And that is something that we need to do as far as work with the city manager on what we can do to help out these three entities.
Thank you very much.
With that, there's no more comments. Did you open it up to the public?
Members of the public, is there any comments on this item? Members on Zoom?
There's no hands raised on Zoom.
Bring this back to council for motion.
Hey, I move to adopt resolution 2022-112.
Second.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 4-0.
Okay. Item number 16, was that you as well, Mike?
You pulled 15?
15 was, I had a note in regards to that staff wanted to pull this item to a future meeting. That's what number 15 was.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
So we're all in agreement that it go back to a future meeting, okay? Do we need to?
Once it was pulled at staff's request, it's not on the table for discussion.
Sweet.
And I pulled 16. You know, I had some dialogue today with Mr. Waugh about this because he gave us an update on the Service Mitchell Road interchange. And what I wanted to bring to light is that with the change order on this, it does not have any effect on what Southern Pacific Railroad and Caltrans is attempting to do with our interchange. They had to relook at the design and things because of traffic signals and things like that. So that is going to be a future issue, correct me?
That's correct, Councilman.
So
Mayor.
I just wanted to, because of the update that was made at the previous meeting, and, you know, Mr. Waz said something about the traffic signals and what Southern Pacific's doing with their right of way, that this is completely separate.
That's correct. In the presentation, I separated the two different issues. And this one includes the PRR, or Union Pacific Railroad, and the Caltrans Transportation and Environmental reviews that have to be completed. And I gave you the worst case scenario that was given to me on the cost for those two potential review outcomes. And they're not part of this current amendment.
Thank you very much.
So with that, I have no further comment.
Bring this back to the public. Are there any comments from the public in regards to this item, number 16? Are there any members on Zoom?
There's no hands raised on Zoom.
Bring this back to council for motion.
Move to adopt resolution 2022-115.
Second.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 4-0.
Moving on to item number 17, unfinished business. Resolution number 2022-116, authorizing the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds and neighborhood park fees for a public outreach workshop and survey and a conceptual design of Ochoa Park improvements.
Hi, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman, I appreciate the opportunity to provide public outreach and a survey, as well as a conceptual design as a result of our efforts to get public input. What we're going to do is schedule this in the next 60 days. And I just wanted to make a small correction on this staff report. The fiscal impact included ARPA fees in the wording, but it's only neighborhood park fees. There was a fiscal year 19-20 neighborhood park fee balance that was carried forward for the old Eastgate Park fee and the consulting fees for the design of this park, as well as the $10,000 amount that we're going to try to put together for this public outreach are funded, fully funded.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions?
Nope.
Bring this back to the public. Is there any comments on item number 17? Any members on Zoom?
There's no hands raised.
I'm sorry, did you have your hand raised, Mr. Warren? I did not see your hand.
Pardon me.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, My question was, when I looked at staff report, there was a possibility of $10,000 to develop a plan that we already have. Was that the correction you were referring to, that it's fully funded now and you don't need that 10,000?
No, sir. I was trying to separate the potential project cost for the last design. We've decided to go out to public outreach. We got a quote from the consultant, and we are considering that survey cost as well as a new conceptual design will be under a $10,000 budget. It's in addition to the future consulting fee that the new designer that we select will have to utilize. So
But we're going to approximately $10,000 to develop a plan that we already have? Because there's a plan in place on how to develop that park, correct?
understood. It's a not to exceed 10,000. And we're going to start with the conceptual plan that we have, and with public improvement, we'll modify that and we'll keep it under the $10,000.
My thought is, why spend $10,000 when you already have a plan in place? I mean, you're just throwing good money after bad. There's a plan in place, wasn't finalized, and now you want to go back to the drawing board and spend more money for something that's not necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Just
for your
clar-
comment.
Just for clarification, it is necessary, correct?
There was several public comments in the past meeting asking for design changes or
Correct. So we
additional
needed- so that's why it's
review.
necessary, because of the design changes.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that Warren understands that.
Yeah.
That reason. Mr. Warren, are you? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I have I want to make sure I respect my client. He pushed the button.
No, it's all right. He would.
Okay,
he
sounds
let the
good.
Vice Mayor
Thank you.
go.
This park's in my district. I've talked about it at length. I was ready to move forward with finishing what we could finish with what we had, but clearly the community wants to be a part of the decision as we made them part of the decision to change the name. I fully support this. If it takes $10,000 to redesign it and get it done correctly, we've waited this long. I think it behooves us to make sure we do it correctly this time, and maybe this will be the last time. So I can fully support this resolution and spending $10,000 to make sure it's what the public wants in that district, in my district, in that park. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Fine.
No, I agree with the Vice Mayor on comments. The other thing is, I want to tell Mr. Waugh, thank you very much. You know, I had sent a couple of questions to you for interpretation, because first off, where I got lost, when it says fiscal impacts, $10,000 is not in there. It says 2.5 million. So that sort of lost me because of the fiscal impacts. So that's what started the dialogue with that. So just so staff's aware that fiscal impacts is really $10,000, not 2.5 million. So with that being said, I would like to adopt resolution 2022-116 with the amendment of using neighborhood park fees and the American Rescue Plan Act funds be stricken from the resolution.
Can you please repeat yourself? The last part. Council member.
What?
The last part that you said.
I want to see that, because on the resolution, it says the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds. I want to see that stricken from the resolution. No, the 10,000 is coming from the neighborhood park fees. Am I correct?
I don't I don't think so. Let's clarify. So,
Yes, that's correct. I'm sorry.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Mr. Vice Mayor.
the unused balance from fiscal year 19-20 for the neighborhood park fees under the old Eastgate Park were carried over. We have approximately $78,000 in that fee, in that fund. Our estimated projection for the design, once we select a consultant, is going to be around 50 grand. So we're going to have about 20,000 extra. Out of that, we'll take the 10,000, not to exceed 10,000, and do the public outreach, the survey, and the new conceptual design.
Okay. Is that,
So
is that clarified?
So that we can have it clear on the record, Councilmember Klein, which recital are we striking?
we're striking, we're taking out American Rescue Plan Act funds. So we're taking that out of the resolution.
The second to last recital?
So resolution, what I have here is resolution 2022-116, authorizing the use of, and it's just going to say neighborhood park fees for the public outreach workshop and survey, conceptual design of Ochoa Park improvements. That's what it would read.
I just want to make sure this doesn't affect us using ARPA funds for this project.
No, it does not affect it.
Just
This
for the
$10,000 is just specifically coming from park fees for
design only.
this conceptual thing with the public outreach.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure the staff. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
See, that's why I was confused with staff report
Sure.
with everything there.
Second.
I wanted to say before you second, Councilmember Casey had pushed the button. He has a
Sure,
question.
yeah.
Please.
You know, since I've been on the council, talk about public input, public hearing. And I don't want to give the impression that I'm not for developing this park, but we have a very poor way of having people come here to speak about something. The largest turnout that since I've been on the council was back in May. Had a group of people come here to blast one of the citizens of Ceres. This is a big project and it's been delayed and delayed and delayed. And through times that we've had people come here, they bring out different things and I don't see them here. We talk about a neighborhood park being surrounded by neighborhood. This park has two sides. And we've already heard traffic on Eastgate is horrible and there's no place to park. It's not safe. People on that side of town cross over. So is it $10,000 going to take all that into consideration? And are we really going to have public hearing, public input to give them an opportunity to be here?
It says right there clearly workshop and survey.
Yeah, I
Public
understand what it says, but what I'm saying is we had a public workshop for code enforcement. Code enforcement is a big deal. We had 2 people show up. You know, somehow or another, we need to communicate to not just the people in District 3, but to the whole city of Ceres, because even though this is classified as a neighborhood park, the way it's situated, everyone should be able to use it. And somehow or another, we need to communicate to get public input. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Have I already done public comment?
Yes, and you got first and the second.
Okay, now we can go ahead and move with the motion. Roll call.
We already
please.
did.
So roll call, please. Wanna make sure
Councilmember
we're on the same
Casey?
page.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
passes 4-0.
Okay, moving on. Moving on to new business. Update on the first installment of the American Rescue Plan funding and allocation of the second installments of ARPA funding.
That would be me, Mr.
That
Mayor.
would be you.
and I
Okay.
think
You
we're
had some- you had- you said your name wasn't on it.
queuing up the slide deck.
Thank you.
queued up. Okay, so, oh, went to the last slide. All right, any questions? All right, there we go. Thank you, Christopher. Sorry for the comedic relief. A couple of these first slides, the council seen before, since the council has had ARPA funds or consideration of ARPA funds before you previously, but I'll run through those slides fairly quickly. So in March 2021, Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act of 21, which established the Coronavirus State and Relief Recovery Fund. Ceres has received $11.6 million in federal funding as part of ARPA. Funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024, and must be spent by December 31st, 2026. The city has received 2 installments of ARPA funds. $5.8 million in July of 21 was the first installment, and the second installment we recently received of $5.8 million, and that was received in July of 2022. Department of Treasury released the final rule some time ago on how funds could be spent, and funds can be spent to replace public sector revenue loss, can be spent to mitigate the public health impacts and economic impacts of the pandemic. Next slide, please. Provide premium pay for essential workers, invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. Next slide. We also have heard from the Treasury on what ARPA funds cannot be spent for, and that is to offset a reduction in net tax revenue resulting from a change in state law, cannot be used as a contribution to a pension fund for the purpose of reducing unfunded liability, and cannot be used for debt service or to replenish a reserve or rainy day fund. So in regard to the first installment was received July 21, little over $5.8 million. We have about $5.2 million worth of requests for ARPA funds, and we have about $550,000 that remained from the allocation and completed projects of that first round of ARPA. Just to run through the projects, there's a more detailed description in the staff report. So these are just high level bullet points of, again, what is in your staff report with the status of those projects as well. So in regard to information technology, unfortunately, John Fredericks is not here this evening. So if there are specific questions related to these projects, I'll have to get back to you on that because Mr. Frederick is ill. But upgrade to the enterprise class wireless infrastructure, that project has been started. Mobile data computers for patrol cars also started. Cradle point wireless connection for patrol cars has not been started. And if I had to guess on that delay, those are supply chain issues. We just can't get those pieces of equipment at this point. Next items are public safety cameras. We did bring an item to the council related to the public safety cameras. We have some more work to do on that project, and we will be bringing that back to you at some point in the very near future. So although that says it hasn't been started, there's been a great amount of work that has been done to research, the project. Police building security system. That project has been started. Upgrading police officer duty gear storage room. That has been started at $40,000. Critical incident response vehicle. We have not started that project. Slide. Speed trailers, you've probably seen several of those deployed around town. So those speed trailers are out and being used. Upgrade to the gym facility in the police department that has been completed. Mobile devices for social media public outreach have been purchased and actively being used by the social media team. Additional code enforcement. We are actively recruiting for a new code enforcement officer and 2 part-time employees to help us address issues related to illegal dumping. Digitization, that's a mouthful, of city's historical mandated microfilm that has not been started at this point. Council recently took action to authorize move forward with some AV upgrades here in the chambers, so that project has been started. Moving on to recreation, sound equipment for outdoor events is complete, and that equipment is actively in use. Ochoa Park irrigation and park improvements has not been started, but again, we have done a fairly significant amount of work related to that project. One of those items being in front of you as the council this evening. Don Pedro, Strawberry, River Bluff, additional trails and walkways has not been started. The robot paint striper for the soccer fields has, I believe, been purchased. We're waiting for that equipment to arrive. I'm looking forward to a demo of that project. That'll be fun to watch. Recreation feasibility study has not been started. Moving on to Public Works, upgrade of the TOC, Traffic Operations Center, has been started and authorized by the council to proceed. Cleaning of air ducts, we did present an item to the council, but that did not proceed. So that project has not been started. Foggers, not the PPE, noting that that's been completed. Lions Park development improvements, has not been started. The grid prune program, that's a very active program. And I think that project is reflected in the Public Works monthly report this evening packet. Lower River Bluff maintenance operations, we are in the process of recruiting for those positions. We're recruiting for those positions that were approved by the council. Upgrade to the EMS equipment on fire engines, that is complete. And in regard to human resources, round 1 of the premium pay for eligible workers has been completed. Temporary project management and recruitment services have not been started. Both of those. Reloading of the RAD card program that was started and approved. We've unfortunately had some issues in moving that program forward, but we are actively working with our partner, the Modesto Downtown Association, to get that program up and running as soon as we can. In regard to community economic development, the wayfinding signage program has not been started, but Community Development Director Holm and I did have a discussion about that project today. So we should be seeing something fairly soon on that program coming to you, council. Entitlements assistance, business incentives has not been started. Freeway-oriented route sign replacement. I honestly don't know if that's going to move forward given our discussions with that building owner. So we'll see if that moves forward. Seasonal banner enhancements, seasonal banner enhancements. That was approved this evening, and we should be seeing those banners go up fairly soon. So that related to the Veterans Recognition Program at the downtown. So in regard to the second installment of ARPA funds, again, $5.8 million. The council, through various actions, has previously approved ARPA funding requests to the tune of about $2.2 million. The next slide, don't go there yet, Christopher, but the next slide will have a listing of what those items are that have been approved previously by the council. Thanks, Christopher. So remaining from the second installment of ARPA funds, there's about $3.5 million. Funds left over from the first round, about $550,000. So at this point, about $4 million that are available combination of the first installment and second installment of ARPA funds. There will also be some leftover funds from those projects that I ran us through quickly. So that $4 million amount may go up a little bit, reflecting some save funding from those projects. Next slide, please, Christopher. So the items for round two that have been previously approved by the council, a little over $1.1 million to balance the fiscal year 22-23 budget. Council authorized the use of ARPA funds for a grant match for Smyrna Park, about $400,000. Then in regard to human resources, about $750,000 for premium pay for eligible workers. Excuse me, and that was authorized in the labor agreements with the various labor associations. And with that, really this evening, wanted to give an update to the council and the community on a fund that had been spent and allocated in round one, and give the council the opportunity to have discussion and provide some input to staff on potential uses for round two. So it includes the presentation. Staff is available, all the staff available if the council has questions on specific projects or has questions about potential uses for round two of ARPA funding and the remaining round one ARPA funding. So that concludes the presentation.
Council, any questions or comments?
I have a comment. It was a great opportunity for all of our departments to apply for some of the ARPA funds for their projects that were probably never going to get funded without that. And in the first installment of that, we covered a lot of stuff for different departments. It's my belief that now it's time to take care of long-term infrastructure projects like parks, roads, water, sewer, things like that with this money. Parks would be number one. I think all of the department heads had their opportunity to get their pet projects covered in the first installment. And now it's time to do real city, long-lasting business and infrastructure improvements. And that's the direction I would like for the council to go as we try to figure out how we're going to spend this approximately $4.5 million that we have left over. Thank you.
Any other comments, council members?
No, because this is, they're just looking for direction. You don't have to have direction tonight. Gives us time to think about what we want to do.
Really at the pleasure of the council. If you want to spend some time thinking about projects, I think that's fine. Again, really at the pleasure of the council. That will just impact when we can be back in front of you with some recommendations based on your input. I will say if there's a desire to allocate some funds to specific projects, i.e. Ochoa Park or other infrastructure, that would just push out the project delivery date. So again, at the pleasure of the council, we can work with however you want to approach it.
Well, looking at the ARPA Plan Act, I mean, funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024. So it's only September of 2022. We've got 2 years and 3 months to come up with a plan. It's got to be spent by 2026. I think the first time around, because I came in at the last half of it, because it was already discussed, and I felt sort of rushed on the whole thing. I think that we need to really look at it as a council, and we've got 2 years to decide what we want to do here and think about what we want to do and not hastily make it, because there is a portion of this. I do agree with Vice Mayor Silvera that we need to do something with the parks. We have a lot of parks that are unfinished that have been promised to neighborhoods. We need to look at conceptual, what the costs and stuff are, and maybe other options. I know there's a few people in the public that would like to put some input on this. So I think that we can come back numerous times with next 8 months and have a plan in place. In the meantime, we can reach out to staff to find out cost for Ochoa Park to be completed, Lions Park to be completed, whatever else, we need for park services to get some of the underlining things done. And because, I do agree with Vice Mayor Rivera that, now's the time to reach out to the public and say, hey, you're the ones going to benefit from this, the park. We need to really concentrate on that stuff and not so much, building maintenance and things like that. So, that's the direction I'd like to go. And whether Vice Mayor Silvera wants to bring back, I think after discussion with staff about Ochoa Park or Lions Park, or, I think we need to be open to that and have a discussion and a truthful, honest discussion with all of us and say, okay, what are we going to do with this? You have so much money from one ARPA funds that can go towards Ochoa Park, and then you can use so many of phase two, and we can get closer and closer to get these things completed. So, that's my comment.
I have a comment, Alex. What would it take for us to finish Ochoa Park second phase?
There's approved $10,000.
Yes.
That's where we are right. I have no idea what it's gonna cost.
Should I, maybe I should rephrase my question. How much money did we allocate for Ochoa Park already for first round of ARPA funds? 400,000.
That's correct. So 400,000, when we did bring that item to the council about making those minimal improvements, we proposed the 400,000 that it had been allocated to Ochoa Park, shifting over the funding that had been allocated for Lions Park, plus some park facility fees. I think it was at $1.1 million.
Right. Okay.
We preliminary estimates are that it's going to be more. So.
Okay. That's a question. The reason why I asked that question is I want to see those numbers be brought back. Make sure that if we do on the second round need additional money, then we bring those numbers back. Is my suggestion.
Well, I think we will get that coming back to us, excuse me, after staff has reach out to the public. Because, they were talking about having shade structures. Shade structures are, let's just say $20,000. They want straight structures. They want different things in there. So they're going to bring back to us and saying, this is what the conceptual design is with the neighborhood wants. And, we can tweak it from there because it could come back at 1.7 to 2.5 million. But I think we're going in the right direction with what we directed staff to do right now with Ochoa Park.
So we all agree that that's a part of the direction.
And please include the irrigation model that that needs to be done with it. Yeah. Okay.
Back to the 60 days and the workshop. Do we have a date in mind for that public workshop yet? I want to make sure I'm available since that park's in my district.
Mayor, we don't have a date in mind, and we will
Work on that pretty
we'll
quickly.
Yes, we'll confirm the
All right.
date.
Thank you.
Is there any additional items or suggestions for staff? Also,
If I might make a process suggestion or
Sure,
recommendation.
yes.
So, let me just suggest that within the next 60 days, we come back to you as the council with a plan on how we might recommend soliciting public input on how we use and how the council might allocate that funds and a process for consideration of the funds. So we can come back to you in the next 60 days with that.
I'm fine with that, except for Ochoa Park. We're on top of that, and that might be quicker,
At the pleasure of the council.
100%.
are you suggesting we come over here quicker?
We're gonna get the Ochoa Park at the front of the line. And if we can get the workshop done, the survey done, get that information, get a great staff report brought back to us so we can get that process in motion. In my opinion, that should be ahead of everything else that we're talking about for ARPA at this point.
So as soon as we get that information, bring that item back to the agenda.
Certainly.
Council, are you guys okay
For
with
the rest of the ARPA fund projects that department heads and departments would like to see done, it doesn't even have to be 60 days, in my opinion. If we're going to give 60 days just for the Ochoa Park process, then we probably should stretch that part out a little bit longer. That'll give us then an idea how much we may need for Ochoa Park. That makes sense. So in 60 days, we come back with the X number, $2 million for Ochoa Park. Now we know we have 2.5 extra to spend. That gives the department heads to take their best shot at that 2.5. I'm not speaking out of line.
That process makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
I bring this back to the public. Is there any comments on this?
Pratt series, several members would like to see extra benches at the Neil Dog Parks if it's possible.
Any other additional comments? Warren?
Thank you, council. I think Mr. Klein is entirely correct. Over 2 years, for 2024, to have all the projects in place and decided upon, rather than rush into the decision on what thing might need to be fixed or what not need to be fixed. The planning for Ochoa Park, that part, I think quite possibly of Saturday meeting would be held for the general public. So there's lots of people at 5:30 PM that can't make it here into the chambers that might want to have input. So I think a public meeting on a Saturday or Sunday or a day when the general public can be here, and that every effort is made to notify as many people as possible. And I don't care if it's in the water bill or if it's on social media or the Public Works Department hangs a flyer on every door in town. Mr. Casey is exactly right. Input is needed on how to spend that money. So that would be my request. And the same thing for planning on spending that extra $4 million. A lot of it needs to go into our park system. And a lot of it needs to go into some buildings and things around town that need to be taken place. But a public workshop on a Saturday, ask the public to attend, give their thoughts in the matter. And then after that, I mean, if you only get 2 people that show up, that's what it is. But hopefully there would be a better response.
Don, I'm not opposed to that. I'm actually going to suggest that we have an evening meeting and a weekend meeting in case so it
meetings
can
would be
cover
great.
everybody.
2 meetings.
Definitely going to get it out as the best we have the ability to get out. Social media, whether we got to put mailers out, whatever we got to do. If any of were there through the renaming of the park and the hundreds of people that were there when we actually renamed it, we have the ability to get the information out and we'll do our best to do that. But yeah, I'm not opposed to having an evening meeting and a weekend meeting just to make sure everybody has the opportunity to share.
Well, and if I may make a comment, I've had a discussion with city staff, a possibility of taking the public outreach to them at the park. The staff reaches out to them, they go to the park, they lay things out. Everybody gets to see it there where they're not coming down to the community center. That's another possibility. So they can see the layout of the land and everything. Also with bringing, conceptual designs where they can change things, add to them, take away, just doing a multitude of reach out, but taking it to them and the park.
Newbie, I have a question. For a workshop, public workshop for like this park, is there anything saying we have to have it in this format with all of this, or could we have one out of the park?
You can have it at a different location, but if it's going to be a structure where basically the council will sit basically in this type of arrangement, then it has to be noticed per the Brown Act. If it's a workshop that is led more by staff then no, you can advertise as any
We
other.
can have it out at the park, or if we're gonna have two, we could have one out there. Have one here on a weeknight and one out there on a weekend, and that would be fine. Less formal, I guess you would say.
Well, to go off what Vice Mayor says, if we do something like that, if we designate one or two council members, we don't have to post it.
If you designate less than a quorum
It should be
for,
two.
for participation purposes where no decisions are made, but more for facilitation and interaction with the public, then it doesn't have to be agendized and noticed pursuant to the Brown Act. But obviously staff would take the step to make sure that they advertise it.
Just
get
as
out.
long as not a majority of the council members are there.
Well, I see these workshops as an information gathering process anyway. No decisions to be made. The decisions will be made once we get the design information from the public, the design finished, brought to the council, then it becomes agendized.
That would be
That's the
fine.
way I see it. Hopefully everybody's on board with that. Thank you.
Any other members of the public that would like to make a comment? Anybody on Zoom?
Or no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. And this was just a informational update, correct?
That's
Great.
correct.
Okay, we're moving on. There are no discussion items, council member referrals.
I have nothing.
You have nothing, Mike? Casey? I do have a referral. This is a conversation that I had with Alex a while back in regards to the possibility of the council supporting the idea of a revenue workshop. We can look at certain types of revenues that we can bring to the city of Ceres to help us with the city of Ceres projects in the future. Obviously, that's going to be a lengthy process. We're going to have some ideas from the city council to bring forward and staff as well. Looking for direction from the council, if you guys would agree with me in having a revenue workshop.
Can't hurt.
I have one thing.
Sure.
Being a born Bulldog from Ceres High School, on Wednesday, August 31st, there will be a crosstown showdown parade of Ceres High School and Central Valley football players, cheerleaders, leaders, and everything else leading up to that Friday night's crosstown showdown between Ceres High School and Central Valley football teams. So it'd be cool if we were out there supporting that at 4 o'clock on the 31st out at Smyrna Park. It looks like it's pretty easily determined that Ceres High will probably win this year. And it's easy to say when you're, born a Bulldog, always a Bulldog. So just thought I'd put that out there.
So a
We're not gonna,
comment-
we're not
May the
gonna get into,
31st.
hold up, Mike, I
So-
gotta follow up.
Hey,
'cause
no, I gotta say this.
I'll let you.
I'm the
You're the
cheater guy here.
original. Go ahead.
I'm like the vice mayor. I'm a born Bulldog.
Okay,
My kids are a fourth generation Bulldog.
okay,
Okay. And the Lions Club, which I'm a part of, they've been asked to cook
that's right.
for this parade. So the Lions Club will be out there supporting both teams.
That's what I want to hear.
Okay.
Cause I
So-
want some barbecue.
But yeah,
Just a great event. We've never done it before. They came up with the school district, came up with it, thought it sounded great. Joey, they jumped on board at Parks and Rec. I think it's going to be a really neat event for the community to show that you can be rivals, but also friends at the same time. So Wednesday, 4 o'clock on the 31st at Smyrna Park.
And I'll add to that. I want to thank the Unified School District and the city of Ceres. I've been talking about this to all my classes for the last 6 years at Valley High School and asking a lot of people, why don't we have a parade? That's all in the past. I think the last time we had it was in the 90s, correct? I'm not trying to put you guys on the
There
spot,
was
but I was
no
still in high
Central
school.
Valley the last time we
There
had
wa-
it.
Well, so with that being said, I think that it's going to be a great event for both schools, and may the best team win. And just to your comment, of course, you believe faithfully in your Bulldogs. I actually graduated from Ceres High, but I will say I'm going to root for Central Valley. But as a mayor as a whole, I am so happy that both schools will be able to participate in the school district and the city of Ceres for welcoming this event that is well due. We got to have some fun every once in a while, gentlemen. All right. Any other comments by the council, Mr. Casey? You don't want to, you're not rooting for anybody. You're just going to stay neutral.
Well, I'm a Turlock.
Oh, okay. But you're a bulldog. I mean, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. I'll be the odd man out. Okay, thank you very much. City manager, any additional comments?
Try this bad microphone. Sounds like a great event, great parade, but I'm not getting anywhere near that rivalry. So anyway, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Nubia, do you have any questions, any comments?
No, but thank you, Mayor. It's nice to see you again in person, and I'm happy to be back.
Very much. Departments? Okay, County Supervisor, Chance Conde was not available. Moving on to closed session today. Titles City Attorney. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Ready? Yes, council has been given direction. There's nothing else to report out. Thank you.